Good morning. It is 6:40 a.m. on Thursday, February 18th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, yesterday, things. I felt like until a second ago I had more I was going to say. One thing I can talk about is. Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I remember the other things too. Um, so, I decided that I would purchase Nintendo's Ring Fit Adventure for the Switch, which, if you are not familiar, is a fitness video game where it uses the Nintendo controllers alongside a tension ring sort of thing to be like an exercise sort of workout game. It's not the first of its kind, but it's the sort of the latest and greatest, I suppose, as far as, readily available consumer products. And so I will say I'm a little behind the curve on this one just because it's not new anymore for sure. But having done just one workout so far, yeah, I mean it's pretty good. My first impressions are very positive. I think I'll continue to use it at least for a while. Part of what it's doing in there is that one half of the little motion sensitive controller goes on this ring thing, which you can pull and raise and move around and everything to do different things. And then another goes on your leg, which tracks you as you sort of jog in place. The idea is that you're jogging in place to move your character along this path, and then you use the tension ring to sort of send out like bursts of air, or you press it down and you kind of jump like a little jetpack, and then you do other exercises to beat certain enemies, and it sort of just gamifies the whole thing. It's a pretty neat design, and certainly I am out of shape enough that that's the sort of thing that can give me a good workout. But yeah, so that's fun. I also yesterday, in an unrelated thing, decided that when I went to take Rocket out for a walk, that we would go and do a little bit more of. So I decided kind of spontaneously that we would explore a part of the path along the river that we hadn't been on before. Now, we have a couple of loops that we would typically do when we go for walks down on the path near the river, which is very close to where I live. There's like a short one that, let's see, I think probably like about a 3/4 mile total, like circuit. And then we have another one that, when we're doing slightly longer walks, we would have another one that's about 1.5 miles. Maybe a little bit less than that in terms of another circuit, right, to do. But at the far end of that loop, like just before you're kind of coming back the other way, is I know that the path along the river continues, and we just usually never go that way, partly just because you have to cross a relatively busy street there. And there is a crosswalk, but it's just like when you're walking along the river, you sort of feel like I wish I didn't have to cross a busy road, If there was an underpass or something like that, that would be nice, but there isn't in that spot, and that's fine. But so usually we don't go that way, but I decided yesterday, you know what? I've never been over there. Let's go see what it is. Turns out it's a lot more path, and it's nice, and I was glad to see it and know where it was. However, I kind of didn't fully anticipate exactly how far it was to the next bridge. And then on top of that, once I had crossed over on the bridge and was intending to come back, I discovered that the path is not continuous along the river in that stretch. And I'm not sure exactly what the history of it is or anything, but it's very frustrating. I'm used to the path just running along the river kind of continuously, but there's a spot there where, like, when you cross the bridge, it only lets you go, like, the other way, like the wrong way. Like, it doesn't, like it's all sort of like walled and treed off. to go back the way that I was intending to go. So it was like, that's frustrating. So I had to leave the path and go out to like the road. And then I'm kind of following the road back along and trying to wait to like, where can I rejoin the path? And it just turns out that there's a park that's on the river. But for whatever reason, the park is designed so that it doesn't connect to the path. And then there's sort of like a little office park there that it also doesn't connect to the path. And so basically there's a whole stretch there where you can walk back and forth along that couple of blocks, but you can't connect to either of the places where the path continues without going all the way back around this long, huge block, which was frustrating to discover for the first time when we're already tired. So in the end, I mean, like, I don't want to imply that like this was some like long, exhausting, death-defying trek. But I looked at it up on the map later, and it turns out it was a 3-mile hike, which again, if you're prepared to do a 3-mile hike, that's not really terribly difficult. But it was a bit more than we were anticipating, and part of the difficulty is not knowing how much further it's going to be, but also the fact that a lot of the path right now is actually just kind of crusted, frozen, slushy ice. So it's not as fun to walk on as normal. But it is a route that perhaps in the future we might do more often now that when we want to do some longer walks. So, discovery at the same time of ending up doing a lot more walking than I intended to and being annoyed at the design of some of that layout there. But what are you going to do? It's kind of like private beaches. It's frustrating. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.